Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging into something absolutely critical for business success in our interconnected world. Strategic alliances. You see them everywhere, right? Tech giants collaborating on new platforms, pharmaceutical companies pooling resources for groundbreaking research.
Absolutely. They're pervasive.
And on paper, they promise, well, a fast, flexible way to access complementary skills and resources. They sound like the perfect solution for growth, for innovation, for speed.
They really do.
But here's where the plot thickens, and it gets really interesting.
Indeed. While strategic alliances are, an undeniable tool for competitive advantage, and they've seen an extraordinary increase. Think about this. The top 500 global businesses now average an astonishing 60 major alliances each.
60, wow.
Yeah. But there's a significant, often overlooked hidden risk. What's truly fascinating here, and frankly quite alarming, is that almost half, nearly 50% of all strategic alliances ultimately fail. Almost half. Think about that for a moment. If these partnerships are so prevalent and potentially valuable, if companies are betting so much on them, why do so many fall short?
Right.
Why does this critical engine of growth so frequently, sputter out?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If nearly half fail, if there's this consistent, widespread challenge, how do some companies consistently win?
Exactly.
We're talking about businesses like Hewlett-Packard, Oracle, Eli Lilly and Co., Park Davis. These aren't just isolated successes, right?
Not at all. They seem to have cracked the code.
They've seemingly cracked the code, figuring out how to systematically generate more value from their alliances than their competitors, turning what for many is like a high-risk gamble into a consistent competitive advantage.
A repeatable process.
So today, we're going to unpack their secret. We'll explore not just what they do, but how they do it, and maybe most importantly, what practical, actionable lessons you can apply in your own organization.
That's the goal.
Our mission today is to show you how to move beyond merely signing agreements to truly making strategic alliances work, transforming them into, a repeatable engine for sustained growth and innovation. Let's start by zooming out and getting a sense of the sheer scale and strategic importance of these partnerships. Alliances aren't just a fleeting trend, are they?
No, absolutely not. They become fundamental, a core part of how companies grow, innovate, compete, especially in today's global economy.
And we're not talking about small side deals. These are massive investments. They signal real commitment and potential, both from the companies and, it seems, from the market, too.
That's right, and there's data on that.
Yeah. Consider this remarkable statistic. On average, a company's stock price jumps roughly 1% with each announcement of a new alliance.
Just the announcement itself.
Right. Now, 1% might not sound like much in isolation, but when you translate that to market value, it represents an increase of about $54 million per alliance.
$54 million. That's a powerful signal.
It really is. A powerful, tangible signal from the market.
It absolutely is. And this isn't just about big numbers on a balance sheet. It's about what those numbers truly represent.
Okay.
That market bump is essentially the financial world acknowledging the immense potential these alliances unlock.
Potential for what, specifically?
Well, potential for accelerated growth, for accessing entirely new markets that might otherwise be, difficult or even impossible to penetrate alone.
Right, breaking new ground.
Exactly. And for leveraging cutting-edge technologies without that massive investment required to build them from scratch or acquire entire companies, which is often slower and riskier.
So it's about agility and speed.
Precisely. Agility and speed, the ability to react quickly to market shifts, to innovate faster than competitors, and to seize opportunities that might otherwise be out of reach or, frankly, take years to develop organically. The market sees it as a smart strategic move that can deliver value quickly.
So the market sees the upside, the promise. But earlier, you mentioned that stark reality, the elephant in the room, that high failure rate.
50%.
Yeah. If there's so much potential, what does that 50% failure rate really mean in practice?
It's a critical counterpoint to that initial optimism, isn't it? While the market sees potential value creation, that potential is, all too often overshadowed by the reality that almost half of these highly anticipated alliances ultimately falter.
Okay.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just about a lost deal or a single failed project. The implications are much wider.
Like what?
Well, we're talking about squandered resources, significant financial investment, sure, but also invaluable human capital.
Right, people's time.
Exactly. Think about the countless hours of senior leadership time spent on negotiation, the legal fees, the complex integration efforts, the diverted attention from other strategic initiatives that could have yielded results.
On opportunity costs.
Huge opportunity costs. And beyond those tangible costs, there are the missed opportunities, lost market share, delayed innovation, and perhaps most damaging, a potentially tarnished reputation.
Yeah, they can linger.
It really can. It can ripple through an organization, making it harder to attract future partners down the line. And given the sheer volume of alliances being formed today, I mean, that 50% failure rate represents a tremendous, almost unfathomable amount of wasted effort, capital, and potential across the global business landscape.
It really highlights a capability gap, doesn't it?
Absolutely does. A fundamental disconnect between the perceived strategic value of alliances and the actual organizational ability to execute them consistently and successfully.
It's like everyone wants to run the race, but half haven't really trained.
That's a great analogy. It really is. So this begs the question, if alliances are so ubiquitous, if everyone's doing it, but half are failing, what truly differentiates the winners from the losers in this high-stakes game?
Right.
What secret ingredient or fundamental capability do those consistently successful companies possess that lets them defy the odds?
Okay, so that's what we're here to unpack. What is that secret sauce? What separates the HPs, the Oracles, the Lillys from the rest?
Well, the research and the experience of these high-performing companies point pretty clearly to one key defining practice.
Which is?
They all build a dedicated strategic alliance function.
A dedicated function. Okay, so not just a side project tacked onto someone's already full plate.
Exactly. This is a deliberate, strategic organizational move. It means appointing a vice president or director of strategic alliances, someone with their own dedicated staff and resources specifically allocated to this critical area.
Like a central hub.
Precisely. A central hub coordinating all alliance-related activity. Its core charge is to institutionalize processes and systems to make sure alliance capabilities aren't just, a flash in the pan, but are deeply embedded in the organizational DNA.
And there's evidence this actually works. It's not just theory.
Oh, absolutely. The data strongly supports this approach. This isn't just a nice to have, it's a proven advantage, a direct, measurable correlation.
Okay, give me the numbers.
Companies that commit to a dedicated function achieve a 25% higher long-term success rate with their alliances compared to those operating without that kind of structure.
25% higher success rate. That's significant.
It is. And maybe even more impressively, they generate almost 4 times the market wealth whenever they announce the formation of a new alliance. Remember that $54 million bump we talked about?
Yeah.
For these companies, it's closer to 4 times that.
Wow. Okay, so that capability translates directly into tangible results. The market sees it.
It really does. It signifies a company that isn't just entering alliances, but truly mastering them. It's about converting that potential value into actual measurable gains.
And why does the market react so strongly?
Because it signals competence, reliability, and a long-term commitment to effective partnership. And this also implies, crucially, a powerful ability to attract better partners.
Oh, right. Good partners want to work with other good partners.
Exactly. When other companies see you as more reliable, more capable, more successful in managing these complex relationships, they're naturally more inclined to collaborate with you. It creates this virtuous cycle where success attracts more success.
So it becomes a core competence, really.
A fundamental shift from just doing deals to building a core organizational competence.
So if you're listening, what does this all mean for you? It means this isn't just about creating a fancy new title or department.
No.
It's about recognizing and investing in a foundational capability that demonstrably differentiates the leaders. It's an investment in competence that pays dividends, building institutional memory.
A repeatable blueprint for success.
Okay, so now let's dig into how this dedicated function actually creates that value. You mentioned 4 crucial roles.
That's right. 4 pillars, if you will, that combine to unlock that value and drive those higher success rates.
All right, pillar number 1.
Pillar number 1, and maybe the most foundational, improving knowledge management.
Knowledge management. Okay, what does that entail in this context?
Well, this function truly acts as a central hub for organizational learning. It systematically captures and shares lessons learned not just from the successes, but equally importantly, from the alliances that didn't quite work out.
So you learn from failures too.
Absolutely critical. This ensures valuable insights aren't lost when people move on or when one project ends. It's about building collective intelligence around alliance management.
How do they capture that?
It involves codifying explicit knowledge transforming experience into actionable guidelines, comprehensive manuals, practical tools, easy-to-use templates,
Templates for what?
everything across the alliance lifecycle, from initial formation and negotiation through successful operation, and even, where necessary, smooth termination. Imagine having that kind of institutional wisdom readily available. Every new alliance benefits from the collective experience.
Got it. Can you give some examples?
Sure. Lotus Corp famously created its 35 rules of thumb.
Rules of thumb.
Yeah, clear, actionable guidance for their teams on managing each distinct phase, helps avoid common pitfalls, ensures consistency. Okay.
Then you have Hewlett-Packard, HP. They took this even further. Developed a massive 300-page manual.
300 pages.
Yeah, containing 60 different tools and templates. And these weren't just sitting on a shelf. They were incredibly practical.
Like what kind of tools?
Templates for making a robust business case, comprehensive partner evaluation forms, negotiation templates outlining departmental roles so everyone's aligned,
Okay, that's detailed.
detailed performance measurement lists, even an alliance termination checklist for smooth transitions. It's about operationalizing success, making it systematic, repeatable.
Less reliant on individual heroics, as you said. Sounds like it reduces variability and boosts efficiency. But it's not just internal knowledge, right? It's also about leveraging it strategically.
Absolutely. Beyond internal tools, they use knowledge for powerful strategic foresight. Take Dow Chemical.
Okay.
They didn't just wait for partners.
Right.
They used a database system called Spire to proactively identify potential partners by mapping overlaps in patent domains.
So data-driven partner identification. Exactly. This systematic approach led them to a highly synergistic alliance with Lucent Technologies, forming a broad partnership across 3 distinct businesses from each company, all driven by identifying complementary technologies through this knowledge system.
That shows how knowledge can lead to proactive, high-value partnerships you might not have otherwise found.
Precisely. And it's not just about technology or market fit. Once you identify potential partners, assessing if you can actually work together is critical.
The soft stuff.
The crucial stuff. Eli Lilly and Co. understood this deeply. They developed an incredibly rigorous due diligence process.
How rigorous.
They dispatched a dedicated team and went way beyond the usual financials, IT, research capabilities. Their particular emphasis was on cultural assessment.
Cultural assessment, what did they look at?
Everything. Corporate values, expectations, organizational structure, reward systems, leadership styles, decision-making processes, how people interact day-to-day, work practices, even the history of prior partnerships.
That's exhaustive. It sounds like understanding the other company's DNA. Why such an intense focus on culture? Seems like overkill.
You'd think so, but Lilly's experience and broader research consistently shows that culture clashes are a primary, often underestimated reason alliances fail.
Makes sense. You can have perfect strategy, but if people can't work together.
It's doomed. This cultural evaluation by Lilly isn't just for screening partners out, it's also crucial for organizing, staffing, and governing the alliance effectively from the start.
So proactive design based on cultural understanding.
Exactly. Mitigate friction points up front, assign the right leaders, establish governance that bridges differences. It's prevention, not just reaction. A powerful lesson.
Okay, so that's the explicit codified knowledge. What about the unwritten stuff?
Right, the tacit knowledge. That's the wisdom from direct experiences, the nuances, the gut feelings, the stuff that's hard to put in a manual. Dedicated functions excel at facilitating the sharing of this too. Through targeted training and robust internal networks, HP, again, was a leader here. They didn't just write manuals. They offered a comprehensive 2-day alliance management course 3 times a year.
2 full days?
Yep, and shorter 3-hour courses. All materials available on an internal website. Plus, they fostered internal networking through company-wide alliance summits and virtual meetings with executives.
Bringing people together.
Right, allowing for informal sharing, problem solving. They even sent managers to external business school programs to build external networks too.
So learning from inside and outside.
Definitely. Similarly, companies like Nortel, Bell South, Motorola created regular roundtables, multi-day workshops for managers to informally share experiences, learn from each other peer-to-peer, creating a community of practice.
Okay, so this collective knowledge, both explicit and tacit, builds continuous improvement. It really makes you think. How can your organization better capture and spread that wisdom from every partnership, win or lose?
That's the fundamental question for building this capability. It's the foundation.
All right, so that's pillar one, knowledge management. Let's move on. Pillar two.
Pillar 2 is about shifting from internal wisdom to external projection, increasing external visibility.
Okay, visibility. How does the function help there?
It acts like a beacon for the market and potential partners. It's about how you present yourself and how easily others can engage with you.
So good PR.
It's more than just PR, though that's part of it, keeping the market informed about new alliances, successes, that enhances reputation. But crucially, it signals commitment to alliances and effective management.
So it makes you a more attractive partner.
Exactly. It says, we know what we're doing, we take partnerships seriously, we're good at them. It also provides a clear, highly visible point of contact.
No more getting lost in the corporate labyrinth trying to find the right person.
Precisely. Streamlines initial engagement and partner screening. Oracle is a fantastic example here.
What do they do?
They literally put their entire partnering process online with Alliance Online, now the Oracle Partners Program.
The whole thing online.
Yeah, imagine the efficiency. Potential partners could choose different tiers of partnership, each with predefined terms clearly laid out. For tier guy partners, often resellers, developers, they could even sign up online without any direct human interaction.
Wow, automating onboarding.
Massive automation. Plus, they use the site to gather detailed profiles of partners' products and services, creating a huge, searchable database.
So Oracle customers could find partner solutions easily.
Exactly. Customers could easily match their specific needs with offerings from Oracle's vast partner network.
That's brilliant. A massive scale play, leveraging tech for volume, but still allowing focus on strategic partners.
Precisely. This online approach massively enhanced Oracle's visibility and reach. They recruited over 7,000 Tier I partners efficiently.
7,000.
Which in turn freed up their strategic alliance function's human resources to focus on cultivating the more strategically important, higher profile partners needing bespoke attention.
Masterclass in efficiency and reach, combining scale with strategic focus.
It really is. Proactive engagement, smart resource allocation.
Okay, visibility makes sense. What's pillar three?
Pillar 3 gets into the internal workings, providing internal coordination.
The internal challenges. This is where many alliances stumble, right?
Absolutely. One of the most common frustrating reasons alliances fail is the inability to mobilize internal resources effectively. Even with a brilliant opportunity, perfect partner, execution can falter internally.
Why is that so hard?
Because the visionary leaders championing the alliance often lack the direct organizational authority to access the critical resources needed.
They don't control the budgets or staff in other departments.
Exactly. We've heard countless executives lament this. One said, unless it is a very high-profile alliance, no one person has the power to make sure the company's full resources are utilized. You have to go begging to each unit and hope they will support you.
Begging isn't a good strategy. That sounds like a recipe for delays, frustration, failure.
It absolutely is. A dedicated alliance function solves this pervasive problem in two key ways.
Okay.
First, it possesses organizational legitimacy and, critically, the authority to reach across divisions and functions and confidently request necessary resources.
So they have clout.
They have clout. If a unit isn't responsive, the alliance function can escalate the issue quickly up the hierarchy. Senior leadership gets involved, support gets mandated. No more internal battles.
That cuts through the red tape. What's the second way?
Second, and maybe just as important, individuals within the alliance function develop crucial internal networks over time.
Relationships.
Exactly. They know who to talk to, where to find resources, how to navigate the internal landscape. They build trust, foster reciprocity. It's informal influence combined with formal authority.
Okay, so it's not just getting the green light, but ensuring ongoing oxygen and support inside the company. But you also mentioned strategic alignment earlier. How does the function prevent the company from competing with itself?
That's a huge point, and another major reason alliances fail. A breakdown in strategic alignment.
Like working on the same thing internally and externally.
Exactly. Imagine investing heavily in an alliance, only to find an internal group is developing similar tech, or the alliance's goals no longer fit the company strategy. It's an executive's nightmare.
I bet. I heard one exec complain about getting far along an alliance, only to find another internal initiative conflicted with it.
It happens more than you'd think without coordination. It's a fundamental failure of strategic coordination.
So how does the dedicated function fix that?
It actively ensures alliance initiatives are consistently addressed in the company's highest level strategy making sessions. They have a seat at the table.
Okay, visibility at the top.
And then, crucially, those strategic decisions involving alliances are clearly communicated throughout the organization. This mechanism ensures key alliances remain priorities, preventing internal conflicts, ensuring long-term strategic fit.
It prevents that painful internal redundancy or conflict.
Exactly. It moves from reactive problem-solving to proactive strategic integration.
That really raises the question for any organization listening. How integrated is your alliance strategy with your overall corporate strategy? Is it bolted on or truly woven in?
That coordination is vital for long-term health.
Okay, makes sense. We've had knowledge management, external visibility, internal coordination. What's the fourth pillar?
The fourth pillar is about results and course correction, facilitating intervention and accountability.
Accountability.
Oh.
That sounds critical, especially given the failure rates. But how well do companies actually track performance?
Often, not well at all. Remember that 1999 survey? Only 51% of companies forming alliances had any formal metrics.
Only half.
And of those, only 20%, so about 10% overall, believe they had the right metrics.
That's shocking. A massive blind spot, like running half your business blindfolded.
It truly is sobering.
Yeah.
But here again, the presence of a dedicated alliance function makes a dramatic difference. The same study found 76% of companies with a dedicated function had implemented formal alliance metrics.
76% versus only 30% without one. Huge difference.
Massive. And it's not just about having metrics, it's about using them to drive meaningful action.
Like what?
The function compels systematic evaluation and, crucially, timely intervention when an alliance struggles. Eli Lilly and Co. again provides a great example.
What did Lilly do for accountability?
They didn't just sign in hope. They established a rigorous yearly health check process for all their key alliances.
A health check. How did that work?
It involved detailed surveys of both Lilly employees on the alliance and the partners' alliance managers, getting a 360-degree view.
Smart. Getting both perspectives. What happened with the results?
An alliance manager from Lilly's dedicated function would discuss the findings in depth with the alliance leader, offering specific, actionable recommendations.
And they actually acted on it.
They did, and here's where Lilly's commitment really shows. In some critical cases, the dedicated group even replaced an alliance leader if performance wasn't improving.
Wow. They weren't afraid to make tough calls.
Exactly. That proactive monitoring and willingness to intervene is crucial. Alliance failure is rarely sudden. The signs are usually there early on if you're looking and have a way to act.
So the function can step in, resolve conflicts, re-energize things.
Or even recognize when an alliance has run its course and pull the plug or push it in new directions, ensuring resources aren't wasted on dying ventures.
That level of rigor, data-driven decisions, and willingness to make tough calls, that's clearly a hallmark of success. It's active stewardship.
Absolutely.
Okay, so those four pillars, knowledge management, visibility, coordination, accountability, explain how the function creates value. Now let's talk structure. How do you actually organize this thing effectively?
Right, so you're convinced a dedicated function is key. But how do you structure it? And as you hinted, it's definitely not one size fits all.
Depends on the company.
Heavily. The optimal structure depends on your strategic priorities, the nature and volume of your alliances, your existing culture.
What are the main options?
The function can be organized around key partners, specific industries, business units, geographic areas, or some combination. And that choice significantly influences its strategy and effectiveness, where knowledge builds up, how coordination happens.
Can we look at some examples again? How did HP structure theirs?
Hewlett-Packard, HP, with their huge number of alliances, but a few really central players, Microsoft, Cisco, Oracle, etc., organized primarily around key partners.
Okay, partner-focused. What did that look like?
They created partner-level alliance manager positions to oversee all alliances with one specific crucial partner. These managers worked closely with individual alliance teams across HP and even had dedicated marketing and tech support focused on that partner.
Sounds incredibly focused. What's the big advantage there?
It allowed HP to develop incredibly deep partner-specific knowledge and priorities. They understood the nuances of each critical relationship, fostered stronger ties at multiple levels, ensured alignment across maybe multiple initiatives with that single key partner, optimizing for relationship depth.
Got it. Nurturing those core ecosystem relationships. What about a different approach?
Citicorp took a distinctly different path. They organized their function around business units and geographic areas.
Business units and geography. How did that work?
The corporate alliance function played more of a research and coordinating role for specialized divisional functions. For example, alliances in e-business solutions were handled differently than retail banking alliances, different needs, different dynamics.
So specialized functions within divisions.
Right. And each division also had regional alliance functions. So e-business solutions in Latin America would oversee all Citicorp's Latin American e-business alliances with a regional board for review.
Okay, so HP focused on the partner, Citicorp on the business segment and region, benefits for Citicorp.
This allowed Citicorp to tailor alliance knowledge and processes to the specific needs and nuances of diverse business sectors and regional markets. It emphasized adaptability and local relevance.
Optimizing for breadth and specialized market understanding rather than deep partner relationships across the board.
Exactly. And what's fascinating, as you say, is there's no single perfect model. The choice is fundamentally about aligning the structure with your strategic priorities. Deep relationships versus broad market coverage.
The best structure supports your overall strategy. Makes sense. What else is important organizationally?
Well, beyond organizing by partner or business unit, it's also crucial for the function to house experts on specific topics or types of alliances.
Subject matter experts within the function.
Yes, the function should make it easy for anyone in the organization to quickly access knowledge codified or tacit on a particular issue.
Like what kind of issues?
Best practices for negotiation, understanding contractual provisions for different scenarios, setting up governance, establishing metrics, conflict resolution strategies.
Okay. And also expertise on specific types of alliances.
Absolutely. The issues in an R&D alliance, lots of knowledge exchange, uncertainty, are very different from, say, a marketing or co-branding alliance where resources are clearer, more transactional.
Can you give an example of how the type dictates the approach there?
Sure. Consider R&D alliances. They often benefit hugely from equity-sharing governance arrangements.
Why equity?
Because when both parties have an ownership stake, it heavily incentivizes them to bring all relevant knowledge, IP, resources to the table. Shared destiny, true collaboration.
Okay. What about marketing alliances?
Marketing or co-branding alliances, where resources like ad spend or brand equity are easier to value, often do better with contractual governance. Clear agreements, specific deliverables, metrics, penalties are usually enough because the scope is narrower, contributions more transactional.
So it's about understanding the nature of the partnership and tailoring the structure and governance to match, using the right internal experts.
Exactly. Smart, informed decision-making based on accumulated knowledge.
All right, one more structural point. Where should this function actually sit in the org chart? Does placement matter?
Oh, placement is perhaps one of the most critical structural decisions. It's paramount.
Why so critical?
Because a dedicated alliance function must have internal legitimacy. It must help set strategic priorities for the whole company. And it must be able to draw resources from across the entire organization.
Which means?
It absolutely cannot be buried within a single division like sales or relegated to a low-level support role in, say, business development or legal. If it's too far down, it just won't have the influence or visibility needed.
So where does it need to sit to have that clout? What's the ideal reporting line?
It is absolutely critical that the director or vice president of the strategic alliance function reports directly to the COO or the president of the company.
Right to the top, C-suite level. Why is that so essential?
Because alliances are increasingly vital to overall corporate strategy impacting products, markets, competition. The alliance leader must participate in strategy making at the highest level.
See you at the table again.
Exactly. This high-level reporting ensures the necessary visibility and, crucially, the organizational reach to cut across internal boundaries and access resources without having to beg.
Without that strategic voice and organizational clout, even the best function might struggle.
Precisely. Even with talented managers and great tools, without that direct line to the top, their efforts could be stifled. It's about giving this critical competence the power and influence it truly deserves.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So building this capability sounds fantastic, transformative even. But let's be realistic, it can't be easy. What are the main challenges?
You're right, it's not without hurdles. 3 primary ones often come up.
Okay, number 1.
First, and maybe most obvious, it requires a serious upfront investment of company resources and people's time. It's not cheap or quick.
So the company needs to be large enough or do enough alliances to justify the overhead?
Generally, yes. For a company doing just 1 or 2 alliances a year, a full dedicated function might be overkill. Scale matters.
What's the second challenge?
Internal adoption and integration. Deciding where to put it is one thing, but getting line managers across the company, R&D, sales, operations to truly appreciate its role and recognize its value can be surprisingly tough.
Resistance to change, not invented here syndrome.
Exactly. A feeling of another layer of bureaucracy, maybe reluctance to cede control over alliances they once managed themselves. Change management is absolutely key. You're shifting from ad hoc and siloed to formalized and systematic.
Convincing people it's about collective success, not taking power away.
That's the core message. And the third challenge you alluded to earlier.
The balance between process and speed.
Right. There's definitely a risk of overemphasizing codified procedures, getting bogged down, sacrificing the agility and speed, often crucial in alliances.
So finding that sweet spot between rigor and flexibility.
It's a delicate balance. The goal isn't rigid bureaucracy, but a nimble, intelligent system. The processes should enable faster, better decisions, not hinder them. Build in flexibility, empower managers within the framework.
Okay, those are real challenges. But despite them, the payoff is worth it.
Absolutely. The companies that successfully navigate these hurdles, that commit to the investment, reap substantial rewards. The data is clear.
Remind us of the payoff.
Consistently greater stock market wealth from alliances, significantly better long-term success rates. It's a sustained competitive advantage.
Not just temporary.
Not at all. And here's the powerful compounding effect. Over time, this investment does something truly transformative. It profoundly enhances the company's reputation as a preferred partner in the marketplace.
Ah, that virtuous cycle again.
Exactly. When you're known for being reliable, capable, disciplined, it changes the game. It becomes easier to attract the best partners, the ones with the best resources, tech, market access, and secure the most advantageous deals.
Success breeds success. Capability attracts opportunity.
Perfectly put. In synthesis, an alliance management capability is, in itself, a critical organizational competence, a distinct, sustainable source of competitive advantage that brings rich, compounding rewards to the organization that understands its worth and commits to building it. It's a strategic asset that grows in value.
So for you, the listener, what does this all boil down to? It means strategic alliances aren't just one-off deals, not just opportunistic handshakes.
No, they're much more.
They are a core organizational capability, a fundamental part of your company's strategic muscle. The real question to consider then is this: are you merely signing contracts and hoping for the best, or are you systematically building a repeatable engine for growth and innovation through disciplined, dedicated alliance management?
That's a choice.
This deep dive truly illuminates how many companies might be leaving substantial value on the table by not having this kind of dedicated focus and strategic discipline around their alliances. It's a powerful, proven framework for making those crucial partnerships truly work for your organization, turning potential into tangible, consistent success.
Indeed. The critical question for every leader, every organization navigating today's complex world is, are you systematically investing to make your alliances a consistent, reliable source of competitive advantage? Or are you leaving their success largely to chance, hoping for the best, against, frankly, pretty tough odds? Understanding the full alliance life cycle, recognizing the vital role of a dedicated function, committing to the value it creates. That's the essential first step towards transforming how you partner and ensuring your alliances become a robust, reliable path to sustained growth and innovation.
A powerful thought to chew on long after this deep dive is over. Thanks for joining us for this insightful exploration.
My pleasure.
See you later.
Bye-bye.